Flowing ad budget on metrics that look great till the CFO sees them, that's bull spend. And marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
I remember telling my boss, it'll be good for the brand, when leads were slow. Yeah, it wasn't.
Cut the bull spend. LinkedIn lets you target by company, job title, and more. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Ferrero. Soccer's biggest stage is approaching, and Ferrero is making it easy to go all in. Pick any two Ferrero brands from Kinder Bueno to Ferrero Rocher, and you could win the $1 million grand prize, plus an exciting range of daily and weekly prizes. Don't miss your shot. Official rules apply. Learn more at goallinandwin.com.
Everyone for picture! First positions, everyone! Yo, go!
And action! Hello and welcome to episode 334 of the Filmmakers podcast. This is a podcast where we talk
filmmaking,
from indie film to studio films and
high-end TV and everything in between,
and documentaries and animation and adverts,
never short
and
films,
shorts. Well, actually, saying that, we might have a short film special coming up. More of that soon. How to get them made, how to make them, and how to try not to
royally F them up.
In a very, very humble opinion. I am Giles Alderson. I've recently made the feature films Wolves of War, The Stranger in Our Bed, and 3-Day Millionaire.
And I am Dom Lenoir,
who has also made the feature films Winter Ridge, When the Screaming Starts, Soundtrack to 16, and I Love My Mum, which I do as well. And on this week's Filmmakers podcast, we have the amazing director, Florian Zeller.
Of a unbelievable new film.
He is a novelist, a playwright, a theatre director, a screenwriter and a film director. He wrote and directed his first film, The Father, based on his play of the same name, starring Anthony Hopkins and Olivia Colman. The film, The Father, received 6 nominations at the Academy Awards, including Best Picture.
And rightly so. It was a pretty decent film.
And Florian won Best Adapted Screenplay Oscar. It was also nominated for 4 Golden Globe Awards and 6 BAFTAs. It was a very decent film. He has then gone on to make his second feature film, The Son, which is namely the film we're talking about today, which is out now. So, Dom, what do we talk about with the amazing Florian Zeller on this week's episode?
We talk about how both films were adapted plays, male suicide and mental health, and why a Hugh Jackman email was a game changer for Florian.
We also talk about the acting scenes that he created, not only with Anthony Hopkins, but with Hugh Jackman, and how often he has no rehearsals, and why sometimes he doesn't let the actors on set for the first time until the camera is rolling.
We also talk about working with the legendary Anthony Hopkins and getting him on board, and also why directors have to know what they want.
We also talk about how he believes anyone can learn filmmaking. He talks about how to direct actors and why cows, C-O-W-S, play a very fun part in this week's episode.
It's just part of the mood. Yeah.
That's all coming up for you on this week's episode of the Filmmakers podcast.
Actually, fun fact, I was at a friendly farm with the nephews yesterday, and a cow did a full-on moo. He just came up to the edge of the fence and just went for it. He was just going mental with the moos. So there we go.
Was it moving?
Yeah. Yeah. It
Brilliant.
certainly was. He absolutely hoofed it out the park.
Did it? Probably got beef for you.
Yeah. I hope not.
Because you shouldn't eat cows. Bad for you for one. It's mainly bad for the environment.
It's pretty bad for the cow.
And it's definitely bad for the cow.
Oh, there we go.
This is a filmmaking podcast. Did you know? So myself and Dom, we are hosting a panel event this coming Sunday in London at the Genesis Cinema.
Some say the most famed and exciting panel event that's ever hit London.
Some say that. Don't know who they are, but they say that. It's famous. No, it's a really good event. When we do these, we sell out. But this was a little bit of a last minute.
It was, yeah. It was a bit of a last minute.
London Independent Film Festival asked us, and we thought,
yeah,
why not? We've been meaning to do the Make Your Film events again, and we thought, or we'll make it more of the Filmmakers podcast
Yeah.
live, in brackets, Make Your Film 9, right?
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, we don't want to ever do anything by half. So, me and Giles could just turn up and sit and waffle on for an hour, which, would probably be reasonably entertaining.
That's
but
what we do.
We thought, why not just get some ludicrously high-end guests and make a jolly of it?
Which we are doing. So it's this Sunday, April the 16th, 2 p.m, at the Genesis Cinema. So if you're anywhere near London, come on down. The guests we have announced so far are...
Dee Pats, Debs Patterson.
Yep.
I don't think she goes by that, but I've just I thought it was a good improv.
Nice.
Director of such very high-end TV as Halo and Willow, and the Pathé Warner Brothers spectacular Africa United.
Also joining us on the panel is... Greenup? No, it doesn't work, does it? It is Cos Greenup. He's directed the feature films Dark Beacon, Demon Baby, The Last Heist, Sweet Street, Velvet and House Red. And he's just wrapped on It Comes With Cold Water.
It's an Icelandic epic set in Iceland. Which is pretty exciting, to be honest.
So, we're going to have another guest announced very, very soon as well. But anyway, either way, it's going to be brilliant. There's networking afterwards from 3:30 until 6. Genesis Cinema in Bethnal Green. Head on down. Link to that is in the show notes. So we decided, because this was a short one today, we decided what we would do is do a little wrap-up afterwards and talk about some of the important things that Florian talks about, and we'll dive into them further, but also tell you what we've been up to as directors, producers and writers. And we haven't done it for a little while, so we thought, why not? Let's go into it a little bit more.
Why not?
So, Dom, tell us about Florian's film, The Sun. Tell us in a short burst, because we're going to play the trailer before the chat with Florian starts.
The Sun is the moving, and I would say brother piece to the father. Exactly. It's the moving story of a son effectively with mental health issues, and how two parents, played by Hugh Jackman and Laura Dern, are struggling to cope with them. We also have Vanessa Kirby, who is the new partner of Hugh Jackman's character, thrown into the mix as a new mother. So there's a lot of family dynamics and basically parents having to try and figure out the difficult choices in terms of helping their son. And it's a really challenging film, and it's very very powerful.
Here is the trailer for The Sun, and then afterwards is our chat with Florian Zeller. Enjoy.
What are you doing here?
Nicholas hasn't been to school in almost a month.
I wanted to ask, how are you? Has something happened? You realize the school is talking about expelling you. Can I live with you? You said you don't feel very close to people your age.
Your other son, he needs you as well. And you're at work all of the time.
Has he been able to talk about the divorce?
I've tried to be there for you. I've tried to give you strength. What's going on? Are you on drugs? You think you can just live your life doing whatever you feel like?
I don't know what's happening to me. I feel like a complete failure.
I wasn't there for him.
There used to be so much joy in our family.
You give these big speeches about life, and then you abandon us.
I have the right to reinvent my life! Hello, son. You came to tell me what a good dad you are? What do you want? Applause? That's my little boy. I can't give up on him.
I like your North Face. That's nice.
Yeah, this is when you're told you have to come to London. Yeah. It's mandatory to wear North Face, isn't
It's
it?
thick and furry and amazing. I like it a lot. Good. All right. Welcome to Filmmakers Podcast.
Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure to chat to you, by the way. Yeah, you've made two incredible films. I mean, wow.
Thank you.
All right. Gosh, we don't even know where to start. with it because it's so in depth and so interesting and so thoughtful, your work.
Because obviously you've done the father and then you've done the son. I mean, maybe it's a question you've been asked probably a lot of times, but what started the kind of sequence, I guess, in because it explores male identity and parental lineage and father figures in some really interesting ways.
It's what they have in common, the father and the son. They were both plays that I wrote because I come from theater. And when I did the father, I knew that if I had the opportunity to do another film, because, you know, it's never granted, it would be the son. So it's something that I was really, when it comes from a conviction or a deep place, you know, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. And I think it comes from what happened on stage. I would say, for example, for the son, I remember it was first on stage in Paris and then it was in London. And I was surprised and moved to discover the response of the audience, meaning that people were waiting for us after every performance, not to say congratulations, but really to share their own story. And you know, the film is about a father trying to help his teenager son going through depression. And these people after performances, they were like, you know, I know what you're talking about because my daughter, because my son, because my uncle. And I almost physically realized that so many people could be in this position, you know, when you do not know what to do anymore to help someone you care for. And so it comes from there, the fact that when the play was finishing, something else was starting, which was like a conversation. And there are so much guilt and so much shame around mental health issue. I feel like they wouldn't have shared their own story if it was not just after the play. And so, sorry, my answer is a bit long, but I made the decision to make that film to open the conversation as small conversations were open after the play.
And I think it's especially powerful because mental health is now being talked about, and I think, you know, mental health in general is something that people do have conversations about. Like 10, 20 years ago, no one would discuss it, but male suicide is like the biggest suicide, and you know that's not always talked about. It's something that's often brushed over, and I think it's the first film I've seen where it's really sort of covered. You know, spoilers, obviously, but if you're listening to the episode, you should have watched the film anyway. But it's something that it's the first time I've seen it really covered, and what you talked about as well, with the helplessness of the parents.
Yeah.
And you know, how does someone deal with that? I mean, what was the research process to get into tackling these subjects?
I mean, not in terms of research, but the first instinct was not to shy away from it and to, in a way, to try to face it in the eyes, you know, even though it's slightly uncomfortable, even though it creates some frustration sometimes. But to look at it in a specific way, meaning that I try not to explain the pain, I try not to resolve anything, and so it's like going far from what you're expected to do when you write a script, you know. But I did it that way because I felt that it was the only way to be honest, because this is the way it is in real life. I feel, meaning that, you know, when someone is in pain, it's hard sometimes to know why. You know, there are some psychological reasons, some traumas, but also some biological reasons, sometimes chemical reasons, and it's hard to accept that we don't know. It's like a mystery. It's like a black hole. You know, we all know people in our lives. On paper, they have everything to be happy, and still they are struggling. And especially for parents, it's like impossible not to have answers. You know, or to explain or to understand. And because there is no explanation, you start thinking, you know, is it my fault? What did I do? Etc. Etc. So it's the guilt and the shame that take the space, you know. And I feel like that's the worst position to help someone else.
It's quite a clever thing you've done as well. It's very hard, as Dom says, to try and get anything like that to resonate, to make sense. You know, Dom saying mental health at the moment is talked about a lot, which is great. But diving into it and making it work and finding the truths within there, because it can be handled incorrectly. Whereas here it's not. It feels very real, emotional and tender. Was that, like say, when you started writing that as a play, was that always there? Was that something that you were like, okay, this is where I need to go with this play? Was that always the seed, the spark for you?
Like as in where it ends as well.
Yeah, and where it ends.
Yeah, I think that, you know, somehow it was coming from a personal place. So I was trying to use my experience, my emotions, not to say that it is my story, but it's territories I'm not stranger to. And so it was about trying to explore what I knew about it, what I felt. But you do not make a film just to tell your own story. Somehow it's not enough. It's really because, as I said, I felt that so many people could be or are in this situation. I mean, especially right now, I feel like we are like in the middle of a mental health pandemic, and especially after COVID. And it's true, you said that we are talking a lot more about mental health, but still, I feel that we are not comfortable talking about it, or we pretend talking about it, but you know, it's still very, very brutal. And you know, there are so many people that are not helped and they are even not aware that they are struggling with mental health issues. And so I think that we need to be, you know, comfortable, and we need to be comfortable watching movies also about it, but not in the I mean, what I try to do, as I said, is not to resolve anything. So it's frustrating, and it creates like something we don't want to share sometimes, but that's the purpose.
I think that's very true in terms of the frustration, and it's a good way because you feel the parents' frustration. I mean, I think a lot of films in these kind of situations, the father in this case, you know, he's shown as someone that's maybe left the mother behind, but he's not the villain. He's really trying to make a go of helping his son, and the mother isn't shown as a bad mother either. So there's no easy answers in the seeds of what happened. Was that always in the writing process?
Yeah, I didn't want to do like a film about bad parenting, and I tried to. That's why one of the reasons I really wanted to do it with Hugh Jackman was the fact that when you see Hugh, I feel you can tell that he's a good person. That's something you can feel on screen. Because in real life, I mean, he's a great actor, but he's also an extraordinary human being. And that was needed for the film because I really wanted for us to feel that he's a good father, you know, trying hard to find a solution with the best intentions. And that's not easy, you know, that takes time to accept that you are not well equipped as a father to help your son, because it's purely counterintuitive. And so that's why I wanted to do it with him.
How did you get into that mind space with someone like Hugh as well? Because that's difficult. You're playing someone who is flawed, which is often the case with, you know, actors going into roles. You want to play someone who's flawed, but here he's playing someone who doesn't know how to deal with it, who doesn't find the balances between how anyone can handle this, and it's fascinating and wonderful. How did you talk to him? How did you discuss this?
I mean, it started in a very unusual way. It's I was working on the adaptation of the play, and he's the one who got in touch with me, and that's the first time I think that it happened to me that an actor came to me, and he said in his letter, if you're already in conversation with another actor, please forget my letter. But if you're not, I would love to have 10 minutes with you to let you know why I should be the one to do it. And
it's not a bad email to get.
No, it's a good email.
Guess my email.
There's a lot of filmmakers at home crying right now.
Yeah, and hopefully it was not in my spam, so I read it. And of course I met him. It was 2 years ago, so we did it. We did that on Zoom.
Yeah,
but before that, I was really already impressed by I would say the courage and the honesty and the humility that it takes to write such an email. And so it was a general meeting on Zoom, and I was not planning to make any decision. It was just to know each other a bit. But after 10 minutes, I stopped the conversation and I offered him the role, and he was very surprised. And I was too, that it went so quickly, and it's not because of something he said. It's more because of something I felt about who he is, meaning that he gave me access to the man that he is. And I understood that as a father and as a son, he was connected to that story, that he had the emotions that I wanted to explore in himself already somewhere deep down, and that he would be ready or available to explore them. So the challenge was not to talk about the character, about the backstories, about things like that. It was trying to find a way to go deep down and to be connected to the reason why he came to me in the first place, and to try to be as honest as possible. That's why I made a decision not to rehearse at all. And for him to have no bearings apart from what was happening in real time on set altogether. So the plan was every morning we were on set with the camera, trying to discover the scenes, the emotions, in real time altogether in the now, with no, preconceived ideas. And to me, it was the best way for them to be as truthful as possible and to let the emotions, the true emotions, overwhelm them. So it was a very emotional shooting for that reason. They had no cue of what we were doing, and it was like not at all what he was used to do, because as an American actor, he's used to prepare a lot, to have backstories, to make some research, and to have sometimes to work with a coach and to come on set with a clear idea of what should be done. And here it was about trying to let it go and to lose the control of the situation, because also it was mirroring what it was about. It's about the father trying to fix everything and in failure. I mean, he doesn't know how to save his son. And so to me, at least, it made sense to put him in a position where he was losing the control.
So does that apply to the other actors? The other actors got on board with this process?
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to say that Vanessa Kirby already has a bit of that energy, but there is a feeling, especially between those two in the scenes, like they are in real time trying to figure out what's going on. Like they don't know what's going to happen next. And I think that's what a lot of the energy comes from.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of process, you cannot do it with only one actor.
Yeah, of course.
It won't be understood.
Yeah.
And so because of the way it started, because of that first conversation, I asked everyone to join us. So it means, for example, that they were not allowed to have access to the playback, for example, or to the rushes. So they had no cue of no images of what we were doing. Wow. And for example, Hugh Jackman, he's a dancer, he's a singer, meaning that he's a very technical actor. He has when you're very technical, you need to check, And so for him, it was about exploring another way to work. And because he's so brave, so open-minded, he understood that he would be an exciting thing and not a difficult thing somehow. And he was really ready to join this. And also because it creates some interesting opportunities. For example, at the beginning of the film, I mean, the film opens like that. Laura Dern knocking at Hugh's door, and this is her ex-husband, to speak about their son. And she's not supposed to be here, because they are not married anymore, and he has a new wife and a baby, etc., etc. But that's not the first scene we shot. We started 1 week with every scenes in the apartment, and after a few days, this apartment, we were familiar with it. It was really Huw and Vanessa's space, and we were comfortable. And then I asked Laura to come, but I asked her before that day, not to show up at all on set. So she didn't know anything about the set, and she had never met Vanessa in real life.
Wow.
Never at all. So when she knocked at the door, with the camera watching her, and she sees for the very first time her partner, Vanessa Kirby, and she sees for the very first time the layout, the space, the furniture, this new life where she's not supposed to be. And so having spent so many hours in the editing room, I felt strongly that you can see on her face the combinations of all these ambivalent feelings. She wants to have a glimpse of what it is, this new life, but it's all in real time, and we would have been able to do that if we had rehearsed, for example.
It definitely felt very territorial, like that scene, especially. Like you can really feel like the divide between his new partner and the ex-wife and the life. It's fascinating.
Yeah, totally fascinating. Yeah. How did you just keep them apart beforehand? Then did you keep them apart beforehand?
Yes.
So different makeup room, different.
Yeah.
Just literally, we
Brilliant,
keep them apart.
Yeah, but also, it was COVID. So I had an excuse.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
A perfect excuse. In terms of the, them not rehearsing, the actors, It's tough, because what happens if you haven't got what you want? What happens if they're coming at it from totally different angles from where you want it to be, or the two actors, one's this way and that one's that way? How did you deal with that?
You fight, but
boxing gloves on.
But the thing is that for an actor, it's very insecure to be in that position. So in a way, with the insecurity, there is something more open, and you're trying to build something all together. And they were very, very reactive, but open to that. So it was not difficult. It was more intense, I would say. And also, to direct actors, it's a combination of being kind and to watch them, but it's also sometimes to find strategies, in order for some specific emotions to overwhelm. For example, at some point in that story, there is a gunshot, and I thought about how to do that, and I rehearsed this time a lot with my DOP, with standbys, so that we were very ready of what we were trying to do. And then I asked the actors to come, and I told them, okay, so it's just a rehearsal for the camera. There will be no gunshot at the end of it. But play the scene and don't expect anything to happen in the end, because we're not going to do it 20 times. So I won't give the top. So they do the scene, and we are ready. We are shooting, even though I told them that we were not shooting, was just a camera rehearsal. And at the end, I gave the top of the gunshot. And so what you see on their face, it's real surprise and it's real terror. And suddenly they have to deal with that, and they have to deal with what happened. It's already too late, and they have to make decision about it, like in real life. And this is their decision to stand and then to run out of frame. And so their contribution to that moment is their instinct about how to deal with that situation, because suddenly it's too late. It's already happened.
Yes, you can't preempt it. Yeah.
So it's not, you don't have to fight, you just have to be here to watch them be who they are. And so we did that, and then we moved on, and only one take was enough, because the terror I was looking for was already there. And so this is the way we worked.
So in terms of camera work, was that also in the back of your mind? Once you decided with the actors, okay, we're going to sort of rehearse it this way, was the idea that the camera was kind of there and sort of capturing things, but really it wasn't getting in the way, and you weren't trying to block people too much, those kinds of things?
No, it was blocked a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
As blocked with stand-ins. So you block it with stand-ins, or you would think about
No,
it
I did it with them.
With them, right, with the crew.
Which is what I call the rehearsal every morning.
Okay.
So we block the scene and we discuss
with the actors,
Okay.
you block it, discuss it, they don't act
So they
it.
create the scene in the room at the time.
All together.
And then, okay.
Exactly. And then we jump into it. But no, I think that it's I understand what I just said sounds chaotic, and there may be two ways to do cinema. I don't know, but to find truth in the cow, in the cows, in cows,
like donkeys, horses, and cows.
No,
Cows.
not cows. So this is my English, which is not good. Cows. Cow is when cow. No.
So how do you spell it?
I think it's CHAOS.
Chaos.
And the
Chaos. There we go. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
See, this is something that could happen when you work with someone who is not bilingual.
No chaos.
Imagine the cows turning up to set.
All the cows.
Yeah.
The production department brought all the cows in. I don't know why I wanted them.
So I was saying that sometimes you can try to find truth in chaos.
Yes.
But I wouldn't say that that's my way to do it. I'm more like a control freak. So I'm like over-prepared, over-blocking things before working with actor. So I'm more from this part of the brain than the chaos part. You see what I mean?
Yes.
But despite that, despite the temptation to control everything, there is a room for that things that is just the truth that they have in themselves that could appear. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Gosh. Could that lead to issues, though? Like problems where things don't like you say, the gunshot there where it worked and you were nailed it, because I can imagine that. They weren't expecting, and you get those real reactions and, oh, there's no cut, I've got to keep acting. What happens when it didn't work the way you wanted? So now they know what's coming. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
How did you plan
when
it?
you have only one shot, you know?
That's it. This is what we got.
Honestly, not that much. I did a bit the same with The Father. It was the same process. And on The Father, we had a big scene that didn't work like that, which was the last scene of the film. And when we saw Anthony cracking down, and it was we knew each other's, that we both knew that that scene was so important that if it was not right, the whole film would have lost something. I mean, it would have been almost pointless. So that's the only scene I rehearsed slightly the day before, just Anthony and me talking together about it, and he was so good, and so I felt confident about it. But the next day when we tried to do it, something was not working, and it's because I think it was so painful for him to get there, you know, because it was about trying to almost to reach his own feeling of mortality, that it was really not easy. So we had to discuss a lot and to fight a lot to find the scene. But that's the only moment where I had, I would say, like a difficulty about not to see what I was looking for.
So in terms of the process for The Father, how did it differ in terms of how you approached the shooting and the rehearsal period?
It was the same, meaning that, and you know, I come from theater, so I'm very familiar with rehearsing, and that's something I love, but I was trying to be as far as possible from the theatrical process, because this is what I knew, and I wanted really to experience something unknown for me, and also because it was films coming from plays, you know, I thought that it would be important to create a process that was not theatrical. And so for The Father also we didn't rehearse, but it was for another reason. It's mainly because I didn't want us, and I didn't want Anthony to imitate what he knew about dementia. It was not about trying to make some research. It's method. It could work like that, but that's not what I want to do. What I wanted to do is to ask Anthony to be Anthony in front of the camera, and to deal with his own fear, and to deal with his own feeling of mortality. And also because, remember, the set was changing all the time because we didn't shoot in chronological order. Somehow he was lost in the space.
Disorientated.
Yeah. So he had to let it go, you know, and I think it helped a lot, the fact that he had to find something in himself that was not his techniques.
So in a way, a lot of what you're doing is creating a world and an atmosphere for the actors to be absorbed in, almost sort of on the set. Is that kind of correct?
Yeah, but again, I think it's not a general method. It's just for these two films because I felt that it was relevant, and also because I felt a kind of a responsibility towards people who are actually suffering from dementia or depression. So I tried to find a truth that was not my representation, but the truth that we all have in ourselves, you know, because we all know what it is to have, you know, the fear of disappearing or, you know, to be in dark waters. I think we all know what it is. We all have this room in ourselves. So it was about trying to be honest and exploring this point.
Let's talk about going from, you know, writing these plays, putting plays on, to adapting your own play and getting a heavyweight like Anthony Hopkins doing it and you being allowed to direct. Was there any pushback at any point for you that someone would say, no, you shouldn't be directing this? You know, was that always your vision where you said, look, I'm going to move this from a play? And wonderfully, by the way, it didn't feel stagey. Neither of your films felt, they didn't feel like they were a play. They felt fresh, new, like it was written specifically for film, which it was, but didn't come from a play. How did it come about? How did it actually work for you that you went, I'm going to make this?
It's not someone who came to me who offered me to do it, you know. It's something that I had to fight for. It comes from a place where I was convinced that I needed to do it. And as you can hear, I'm French, so it was not obvious for me to do these films in English. But the reason I wanted to make The Father in English was really because I wanted to do it with Anthony Hopkins. I had this like strong conviction that he would be extraordinary, but also because he's this man, you know, of the man who control everything, you know, this very intelligent man. I thought that it would be interesting and new to see him losing the control, losing all his bearings. And so I wrote the script with Christopher Hampton in English, and nobody believed that it would, nobody thought that it would, you know, I don't know, that he would answer to me, you know, but I sent him the script through his agent, so in the most common way.
So you didn't use a casting director, you sent it straight to his agent?
Yeah.
And you dealt with the agent yourself?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
No, I did it by myself. Then I started to wait. And one day I just received a phone call. I didn't recognize the phone number. It was Anthony's agent saying, "Oh, I didn't know him." And he said, "Anthony Hopkins read your script. He would like to meet with you to know who you are." And so I took a plane to Los Angeles to have a breakfast with him.
Nice.
And after 3 hours of discussion, he took me in his arm and he said, "Let's make that movie." And
I'd have loved it if after 10 minutes or 15 minutes you'd gone, "Yeah, you're cast, you got the part, kid." Like the Hugh Jackman moment. "Yeah, I think it's you. I think you can do this." And it's that's amazing, that the fact that connection happened, and the fact that he read it from, you know, someone almost sending it cold as well. Okay, you're a very successful playwright, but that
I think that's proof as well that if the script's good enough, you can get through to the top actors.
I think so, because I really feel that every actor is secretly looking, not even secretly, by the way, but is looking for something appealing and exciting, and also because I've been working with many actors, mainly French actors, on stage. I know something about actors is that even when you are Anthony Hopkins, there is a place where you are still insecure. You know, you are still an actor doubting about your ability to do a part. So it's about also being strong enough and to know precisely what you want, which is the most reassuring thing for an actor, to convince them that there is room for them on that journey.
So did you send him a letter with the script, like some kind of email or something to try and hook the agent and him to read the script even?
Not really, to be honest. No? What I did is that the character's name was Anthony. And at some point, someone asked what his the birth date of the character, and this is Anthony Hopkins' real birthday date. So that he had the message that it was really written for him, and I was not lying when
subtly.
I
like it.
But it's not for that reason. It's really because it was a way for him to understand that I wanted to play with the real Anthony. I wanted to play with who he is as a man, and not only as an actor, to try to explore these human emotions.
How did you then?
I'm Livy Dunn, All-American gymnast and Viore athlete. When you travel and train as much as I do, you find happiness where you are. On the mat or on the sand, movement and comfort are essential. That's why I live in Performance Joggers by Viore. Made from DreamNet fabric that's made of 89% recycled materials, effortlessly soft and made to move as much as I do. My happiness starts here, in the softest joggers on the planet. Get 20% off your first purchase at Viore.com/Libby. That's VUORI.com/LIVVY. Exclusions apply. Not only will you receive 20% off your first purchase, but enjoy free shipping on U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Go to Viore.com/Libby and discover the full versatility of Viore clothing. Exclusions apply. Visit the website for full terms and conditions.
This episode is brought to you by Perfect Bistro Cat Food. Cats, this ad is for you. Has your human ever called you picky, persnickety, choosy? If so, Perfect Bistro Cat Food is for you. With ingredients like wild-caught tuna and pasture-raised lamb, tantalizing textures, and delectable flavors that meet even the most discerning cat standards. You're not picky, you're just perfectionists. Perfect Bistro, mealtime perfection for every cat. Have your human visit perfectbistro.com.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Go about learning the craft of filmmaking? Because you seem to have just picked it up like a duck to water. You know, all your work on stage, and obviously you'd written other films as well. But suddenly now you're directing Anthony Hopkins, let alone some amazing other actors in there as well. How did you go about that? But working with the crew, knowing what lens sizes you wanted, what camera you wanted to work on.
I would say it's a combination of work and instinct. Work, you know, you can learn whatever you want, especially nowadays. You know, all the information are out there somehow. It's a question of, you know, how much energy you want to put into things, and also because again, it was my plays, so I was familiar with the material. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, what was the story, and I had the chance to work with people that were great and helped me to be even more precise. And also because, strangely, the fact that I was working in English and not in French was an asset somehow. At the beginning, I was nervous about it. To be honest, what I was thinking, oh, you're going to shoot a film, you've never done that before. You're going to direct Anthony Hopkins, etc., etc. This is not the most scary part. It was not the most scary part for me. The most scary part for me was that I had to do it in English. I was afraid to have at some point to say something, and that everybody would have looked at me saying, I don't understand what he says.
Yeah. Why are all the cows here?
Exactly. You know, you can lose a lot of credibility. You know, when you're trying to mention chaos in front of Anthony Hopkins, and he understands cows. So you can lose everything, and it's a lot. So I was nervous about that, and then I realized that, you know, to be understood, it's more a question of energy and desire more than words. And also, to me, what was very interesting to discover is that I was to have to be in this uncomfortable place with the language forced me to be even more precise about what I was expecting, what I was looking for. And so, you know, when you are not, because we use the language for many things, not only to say what we have to say, but also, you know, to prevent something to happen, to control a personality, to manipulate some time on set people. I mean, you see what I mean? We use language to help people to be contained, to resolve issues, not only to say what we have to say. But when you're not with your own language, you cannot do that. You are reduced to, you can say only what you have to say. So you have to be very clear about what is your thought. And I did these films with this restriction or this awareness that I really had to know what I wanted, because it would be obvious otherwise. And so to work in another language was a very helpful somehow.
A helpful challenge, yeah. We've got to wrap this up. But is there one really quick bit of advice you'd give any struggling filmmakers or playwrights? Maybe something you might have thought to give yourself when you were younger.
I mean, it's hard to give advices. Maybe the best advices is to never listen to any advices.
Stop listening to the podcast right now.
Or to follow despite everything, what you want to do. Yeah. Because there is a room, that's for sure, there is a room for things to exist. We need story to be told. This is what we need more than anything. And, the story I just told about Anthony Hopkins is the proof that, there is a path to make things exist in the world when you have the energy. And sometimes it's tough to have the energy because it's energy, desire, and conviction. And sometimes it's hard to have the trust in yourself. But the fire of the conviction and the desire is important. And I would give another advice, because I'm the one who said there is no advice. And there is another one that came to me, because I was talking about Hugh Jackman taking the risk to express his own desire. I really respect that. And most of the people, they are shy about having desires. And I think that's very important and very brave, but very important to be able to express what you want, what you dream, and to feel that you have the right to have that desire. And everyone would be happy to hear that, even great actors.
Amazing.
Well, it's as you know, it's one of my favorite films of the year. Thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure.
Florian Zeller, thank you.
Thank you very much.
back.
No cows were harmed in the making of this episode.
No.
Which is good news. That was amazing. Florian was just cool. Really nice guy, very down to earth, and just generally was happy to chat to us.
Yeah.
Wasn't he nice?
He was great, yeah. The thing is, you go and see these screeners and you sing praise about the films you like. And a lot of the people don't bother monitoring their accounts, or they just ignore your reviews. But Florian reshared all the views and he said thank you. And I think, however famous you get, if you can do that, in my books, it puts you up very high, because it means you're a humble director that appreciates someone that is taking the time to look at your film. So when I heard that we had a nice little podcast, I flew. I didn't fly specifically back from Poland on my lovely snowboarding trip, but I did rush from the airport, lugging my very heavy luggage, charging through the streets of London, across the tubes, flying luggage upstairs and downstairs, and just about crashed into the interview in time.
You did. We went outside a little bit for you, and Florian just sat on the sofa, and I was like, is Dom going to make this? And you can see the lovely PR company going,
sweating.
Do you think Dom's going to get here on time? Whereas Florian's just chilling. He's having a great time. He's got the day off. And it was really nice. So, do you know what I found really interesting, actually, with his chat? Was him talking about how he got Anthony Hopkins on board his debut movie in the first place. And look, don't get us wrong. Florian's a very well-established novelist and playwright in his own right. He is already up there. So he's one of the best in France. His plays have been translated and transferred all over the world. So it's not like someone who's never it's not like someone who's never done anything and suddenly chucking an email out to Anthony Hopkins. But this is someone who he still sent a cold email to Anthony Hopkins directly.
A hop, yeah.
Just a hop, skip, and a jump to chuck that email across.
He just hopped into that email.
And suddenly, a month later, gets an email back, gets a call saying,
and suddenly he's a kin.
He's in the door with a nice Chianti, having a lovely chat. And I think that is really cool. Yeah, let's discuss it.
The thing is, you never know, do you? You never know when you send to an agent. You don't know if they've actually sent it to their actor. Let's be honest, especially if you're in the indie world. Like, you never really 100% know. You hope and you trust that they will, but you never really know what's going on in the process. That they are the barrier between keeping their clients safe from millions of crazy projects and getting the good stuff through to them. So, you hope it's got to the actor, and then when it does get to the actor, you also hope that they aren't busy and that they're in a good mood and they read it and they understand where you're coming from and that it's something that's right for them. So, for all those things to align, you've got to have a bit of luck or a very, very good project on your hands.
Absolutely. Well, like I say, it helped that it was a play and it was very, very successful, of course. Yes. And the actor will take that seriously. The agent will take that seriously. But I don't think that should stop any of you guys out there going, why don't I write to an agent of an actor I really want to play the part? Of course, it's a long shot, but if your writing's amazing and your project's really cool and it's something they want to do and you've targeted them specifically, maybe they've not done that kind of role before, then it's not out of the question. It's not impossible. People get scared by these gatekeepers. And look, they're the gatekeepers for a reason. Anthony Hopkins doesn't want 60 scripts through his door every day. He just doesn't. That's what he's got an agent for.
You better have something good.
And I just think it's important you try. If that's something you want to do, you try it. Why not? The agent might read it and go, hang on, this is really good. This writer's great. Maybe I'll rep them myself. It might not get to Anthony Hopkins, but it's about putting yourself out there. And I think a lot of filmmakers get scared of that.
Yeah. And the thing is as well, whatever the reason for the no, and whoever says the no, like, at least then you can move on, and that's it. Then you try someone else. That's life,
and that's it. And during that time, you're already in the process of going, well, I've got the script out to Anthony Hopkins at the moment. Well, that's a conversation starter in a meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because you've done the work, you've put the effort in, you've already written it. It's one of the hardest things to do, and now you've just got to keep going on that. And interestingly, he didn't write a letter to Anthony Hopkins. He didn't say, oh, Anthony, you'd be amazing in this. I found that really interesting. A lot of the casting directors I work with all the time say, write a letter to this actress or actor explaining why they'd be right for the part. And he didn't do that.
And interestingly, what I really liked about the Hugh Jackman conversation that he had is that he said why he liked Hugh Jackman as a man as well as an actor. And I think that's really interesting because there's a part of an actor that is always completely different for every role and is a performer. Yeah. But there is also behind that, there is some truth in who they are as a person. And I think it's interesting that he touched on that. And I think that is always something that I always take into account with an actor. Like, you know, what's their base level? You know, are they someone that's been through grief? Are they someone that does have a funny side? Are they someone that you know, that can snap and realistically bring anger to the table? You know, do they have those things in them, or is that just part of their sort of performance? And I think those are interesting things to take into account if you're going for someone specifically, because those letters can't be just a generic, I think you'd be great, Anthony Hopkins, because you're a good actor and my film's really good. You know, it just can't be like, it can't be just like generic, you know, fan mailing type stuff.
Very, very rarely works.
Yeah.
I also really liked what he was talking about, why he said you can learn filmmaking. Obviously, he's been on set before as a screenwriter. He had been on set, but it is very different when you're a screenwriter. And as there any screenwriters out there who have been on set, it is different. But when you're on set, you are watching and you're learning. It's a shame that they're just the writer at the time, but you do get to see what happens. I mean, just in the nicest possible way. And I try and involve the writer in as much as I can, in the most possible way I can, you know. And I say, well, look at this. Does this line still sit right? Now it's in situ. But often you don't have time to rewrite anything. And that can be very heartbreaking for a writer.
I would hope that I would hope by the time you get to set as well, that you've really discussed stuff with your actors and they might have had thoughts, or they might just improvise something that, I mean, really at the end of the day, what you want to be doing is you want to be getting the intent of the writer. You know, if there's one word that feels more natural to the actor and their journey through the character, you know, change a few words here and there.
Of course, yes.
And that's what it's about. It's about keeping, and the same as a director, like, you know, put whatever spin you want on the words. But, you know, are you aware of what the intent was for the writer? And are you being authentic to that?
And like he was saying, anyone can learn this. I believe that. And he learnt it brilliantly. And look, he won an Oscar.
He's not doing too bad.
Best Adapted Screenplay. And he was up for Best Picture at the Academy Awards for his debut movie. That's huge and hugely impressive.
Yeah.
And he just went, I'm going to learn how to do this.
Yeah, and I think there's also an argument in terms of, like, he's very good with working with actors. And he has brought that across to film and learnt the differences between theatre and film, like, very, you know, easily and coherently.
Yeah. And it works well.
And it works, yeah.
How did you take this when he said he didn't let the actors on set or meet each other before a take? So certain actors hadn't met before a take. So they've obviously learnt the lines and they've sort of blocked it through in some way, maybe separately. And now they're going on set and not met each other before. Like, what's going to happen? Who's going to say what? Am I going to get my cue? Is a loud noise going to happen? How am I going to react to this? That's fascinating.
Well, I think
dangerous.
I think it works very well specifically for him and the film that he was making. Because I mean, like, you know, he talked about some interesting stuff, like Hugh Jackman with the new partner and the wife coming to visit the apartment for the first time, and them not having you know, seen each other in that scenario, or Hugh and Laura.
They hadn't met at all.
They hadn't met.
Laura and Vanessa.
So that is a brilliant use of you know, using your setting for something to feel like, you know, genuinely like a shock for the actors, and I think that's great. And I think, you know, what he's doing is he's doing it in a very safe and thought out way. You know, he's not sort of, you know, jumping behind an actor and doing something like dangerous. Because, you know, the other side of that spectrum is, you know, you shock your actors without discussing something that could be quite horrifying. But actually, he's doing it in a very well thought out way. And you know, it is about creating those instantaneous, very real reactions and making them authentic.
I think especially when you're working with, I'd say, first timers, but sometimes newcomers onto a film set, it can be absolutely daunting, frightening for any actor coming on set. Generally, I was there. I've done it. But if it's kind of one of your first times, and it does happen to a lot of indie filmmakers, the actors are just coming on set, they're quite new.
Yeah.
And it's a frightening experience all round. So, I mean, look, it's a different situation here where he's got really talented actors and Oscar-winning actors. But to do that, God, I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
I'd love to go, okay, let's try this. And I think with indie filmmaking, it can be sometimes very, very difficult.
Yeah, because you have so little time, you can't take those huge risks. But also it depends on the genre. Like if you're doing a rom-com where two people meet for the very first time, it might work well.
Yeah.
After you've done the sort of chemistry test, because you want to make sure there is actual chemistry.
Imagine you do this, and you keep them apart for this big moment, and they open the door, and they go, "Oh no!"
So you've got to like
love at first sight style.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope.
So you've got to make sure obviously that there is something there, but you know that kind of situation might work very well if it's about two people that have known each other their whole life, and it's a real bonding film. That's the kind of thing where it might work very well for them to hang out a lot beforehand, not even to talk about the character, just to get to know each other and build that sort of familiarity. So it's a great example of working with what's right for the situation. And this film was all about two parents being thrown at the deep end, having absolutely no clue how to deal with their troubled son. And he's used all these tools to work on that.
Do you feel that we as directors and writers have to think a lot about that when we're going into making something? Do you feel that we should be pushing the boundary more rather than going over the shoulder, single wide, within a blocking, like storytelling? Do you think that we have a duty, even if you only have time for that, what I said, or even less, you've only got over the shoulder wide, because time's against you on an indie film, always. But do you think you should fight back and sort of go, but my vision's this?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the shot, really. I mean, I think it depends on if it's story-led shots. I think you can make a master or a wide that tells a story. Without having to compromise, the shot. I mean, it could be a something. I mean, to avoid a cliche, it could be like a simple shot of like panning out to a picture of someone that's dead from like someone sitting on a bed. I mean, it can be really simple, basic stuff. I mean, a good one I saw in Last of Us recently was panning out to an open window to sort of symbolize someone that had passed, and then you see something in the background, the characters then driving off into that shot. So it's like you're telling story, but you're also serving a purpose. And it's like, if you're doing that and there's an emotional reason for the shot, then the shot should stay. If it's just a fancy shot to look cool, and you're up against the time, then really you just want to get as much performance as you can in that time. So it depends what you're doing.
Yes,
and really, does your shot need to be super complicated to tell the story?
Well, that's why I like a moving master. First, my wide is often a moving master. It's the Spielberg way. It's the way he likes to shoot. If you watched any of his behind the scenes stuff on YouTube, any of the movies you love of Steven Spielberg, you watch the behind the scenes, you're like, oh my God, all he did was move his camera across, and then it became a close up, and then the actors moved back and it became a wide in one take. And I love doing that as a moving master, blocking it out with my actors, going through in detail thought process with the cinematographer when the camera's going to be around here, and then talking to the actor. If you move around here, okay, if you turned and said the line here, then we'll lay a track here, and then I can get that at the same time. Or if I'm using a steady cam, I can keep going, and that to me is magic. I love that.
For sure.
And that's when you're exploring, and that's your job, to tell the story well and to tell it in a coherent way, and make it make sense.
That's it. And your master doesn't even have to be moving. You just have to think, what is the most important thing to show in this scene? And that can be the wide. It can just be the wide. There's lots of things you can think about: where they're facing, what the focus is on in the scene, what's most important, and that's that can be your grounding for what you're doing.
But huge tip: do not spend too long on the wide. Huge Jackman tip. You just don't have time generally, and suddenly you've done 8 takes on a wide. It's like, and suddenly you've got time for one close up. come on now. When you're in the edit, you know you're only going to use that close-up. So it's a huge mistake a lot of filmmakers do, is try and get the wide perfect, get the acting perfect. Well, you're only going to use seconds of that, so move on. Get the important
be aware
shots.
if you're just going to realistically use the start and the end, unless it's something that's developing from a wide into something closer.
It's good to get the actors to warm up in that sense. And I don't mean, well, they should come prepared, and you should come prepared, of course, but sometimes it's really good to go, okay, let's go through it. This is the essence of the scene. And now you're coming into the close-ups when you're already ready. The only time I don't do that way around is when I've got a really emotional scene, or there might be tears, or they've got get to a certain heightened state. I will ask the actor, do you want to do this crying scene, heightened stake scene first? Because what you don't want to do is do it later. What you don't want to do is shoot all the wides when they're doing that brilliant emotional acting, and by the time it comes to the close-up, it's too late. Or you don't get it in the wide. You can't see it in the wide, these amazing performance, and you've wasted something magic.
Exactly. Yeah, because I mean, actors have different processes. Some can go like, you know, over and over and again, and they can get the tears. Some it will take them a while to build up to it. Some of them will get prepped and they'll explode at the start, and then, you know, you won't want to be doing like the 5th or 10th take with them because they'll have used up their energy.
Yeah, and it can look like they're now trying to just recreate that moment, and it's harder to use that because it looks like someone's acting with a capital A.
And you got to make sure the cameras are ready when you are doing those kind of scenes, and that's where you want to make sure you're not faffing around and screwing up the the camera moves. Yeah,
you really liked The Sun. I loved it, but this was one of your favourite movies of last year. It is out now.
I thought it was great. Yeah.
So do go watch it. So something about us this week that we've been up to within the filmmaking world that we've been doing. Let's start with you, Dom. You know, something that we could be really useful for our filmmakers as well.
Generally speaking, I have been doing another cinema run, which is a sort of an offhand thing that I sort of learnt to do for my own last film.
Well, you did 3 Day Millionaire for us.
And I did your one, on it. Yeah, it's kind of another sort of extension of producing, really.
It is.
And you just learn things by doing indie films, and sometimes it fits around the schedule. So I've been doing that.
What's the film called?
Breaking Infinity. It's a sci-fi film.
Nice.
Mariana Dean directed. A little bit on the Shakespeare Sisters side. They're in post for the film that you also worked with me on.
The Unreason.
The Unreason. So that's coming along nicely. Doing a few corporates, editing corporates, which is nice. Keeps you sort of in the directing game, pays well.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Sometimes in this job, as a filmmaker, creative, you have to work out what pays, because film directing gigs don't get thrown at you all the time. You've got to constantly push a project, or writing something, or trying to get someone to invest in it, someone to be in it, and you need money to survive. And that is really tough in this gig, because often people want you to work full time for them on something else, and that takes you away from what you really want to do. And sometimes you've just got to hang in there and actually say, yes, I can do these smaller jobs and try and survive. And it can be really difficult.
It's the balance, because when you don't have money, I think that's a stressful situation to be in. But then when you're working in a sort of very constrained, restrictive full-time job, that's also a stressful position to be in. So it's finding the freelance and the freedom and the flexibility, but it's also keeping the money in so you can then be relaxed and creative.
And that's not easy. It's very difficult.
No.
So I've been casting a lot this week.
How are you, John?
I'm fine, thanks, Tom. Yeah, I've been casting because we've got quite a few projects now going, because 3 Day Millionaire did really well. It went on Netflix, obviously, you know, and did really well. It's still on there if you want to go watch it and support indie films. And it did open some doors. And I don't mean that people are banging down our doors, but what it does, it means that we can go open doors, myself and Jack, and we can pop your head and go, hey. And if you've got another project ready to go, people will listen and take you seriously. Oh, hey, it's me. We got 4 Day Millionaire here.
Yeah. Well, and
and you can do that. You can build on your success. Any kind of success, any kind of film release is success. It's so hard to do it. So the fact that you've done that is huge. So right now we're casting, Rob Kelly's casting one of our projects. Sophie Holland is casting another, but this is just for named actors. big names. So any actors out there, don't start sending your emails to those casting directors at the moment, because we are just looking for big names. And it's a sad thing about this industry, but this is how it works. You need those names.
Yeah. You do a film over a certain budget, you have to have names.
And these films are over a certain budget, and you do have to have big names to get pre-sales or to get any investors to part with money sometimes. So that's where we are right now. A lot of backwards and forwards. Who's right, who's not? And you start thinking about it, and you start going, oh, this person is absolutely right for this. The offer's going in. Oh my God, they're going to be amazing. And then they say no. Because either they've done something like it, or they're busy for a year, or whatever. Or they don't fancy it.
Yep.
Oh God, that's heartbreaking. Because then you've got to do that process all over again. Yeah. And it can get you down. I mean, look, we're in a great position, of course.
It's very annoying.
But at the same time, it's really annoying. I'm also doing vision decks at the moment, trying to get them done. I'm trying to do information memorandums, IMs for the investors, so they're happy with what we're putting in. Paying people still, deliverables for all the films, like 3 Day Millionaire, still getting released all around the world. So I've got to
pay people.
Yeah, I've got to pay people. I'm the producer. And that's the thing I've learned, that it never goes away. It's not like, hey, you got a film out. Great. This is amazing. More films being chucked at you. You can move on to the next one. But no, there's still taxes to pay. There are still people who come out the woodwork and say, oh, I forgot to put that invoice in. And then you've got to pay them, and a lawyer needs something doing, and you've got to do that. And then there's the deliverables for all the other territories, or the poster needs changing, and there are the trailers wrong there. And you've suddenly got to redo it, and then you've got to send an email, and it's just
very frustrating, especially when you've put it to bed.
Yeah, it really is. But what I've learned is that no one else will do this for you. If you're going to produce, there's no one coming to help.
And that's why you give yourself a big old fee.
Yes,
you should give yourself a big old fee. But really, you should. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I was talking to Connor the other day,
Connor,
director of When the Screaming Starts, and you know, he's sort of putting stuff together, and we're talking about, like, you know, what to pay yourself. And really, you sort of have to actually think. You know, no one wants to do it because it's a passion project, or it's mine, so I shouldn't pay myself. But you do have to think, like, how long am I really going to be spending on this? Am I actually going to be surviving? And make the sacrifices later if you need to, but try and put them in at the start.
Yeah, my view on it now is, no, the price is not moving, because often the producer's fee, the director's fee, screenwriter's fee, first ones to go. Don't worry about it. We want to get it made. And the problem is with that is hardly anyone gets back end in film. This is just fact, especially indie film. How long do you keep doing this?
Yeah, how long do you keep doing it? Yeah.
There's got to come a point when you go, no, that is not moving. Why should it? No, I'm the one who's going to be working on this for years and years and years. Realistically, 3 years solid on this project. There's always going to be something. Certainly a year non-stop. That money's got to pay you. So I say, stick to your guns, stay firm. People are always going to say no. And you can negotiate, and hey, you can say, fine, if this project needs to get paid and I need to get Hugh Jackman in my movie and some of my fees have got to come down so I can get him in the movie, sure, play the game, but stick firm to your guns at first and go, look, this is my job. I'm not doing anything else now if I do this.
You wouldn't get in the other industry, like, you know, if you're a plumber.
In no other industry.
People have mortgages and stuff. Well, we don't have mortgages.
Exactly.
We're doing the
just
film
because we're creative. We go, no, it's fine. I want my vision around the world. No, we have to fight back on that as much as we can. It's really hard, sure. But other crew members do it all the time. No, that is my fee. I'm not doing it otherwise. All right, I will take out the producer fee so I can get you. The director fee's just gone down so we can get that steady come. Whoa, you end up with nothing. Everyone gets paid proper rates, and you don't for the amount of work that you do. So that's my advice for this week. Stick to your guns, work hard, and know that no one else is coming to save the day. You have to do it, and be prepared. That is what it takes to get films made. Years and years of work. So there you go.
There we go.
That was fun.
Yeah.
So join us on Sunday, by the way.
Sunday Fun Day.
The Make Your Film event at the London Independent Film Festival. That's April the 16th, this Sunday, 2 p.m.
This time it's personal.
Tickets are in the show notes for that. Yeah, look, do come along if you're in London.
They're basically free,
why not?
You'd be ludicrous not to come.
Yeah, it's ludicrously cheap. Hang on, we should put a foot down and say no. No, but we're doing this because, look, this is fun.
Not getting fed cake or anything.
I'll bag a cake. A lovely vegan cake, please. Thank you. So look, The Sun is out now.
Yeah.
The film The Sun is out now. It's amazing. And then go watch it, and then go watch The Father as well. That's also an incredible movie. Thank you, Florian Zeller, for jumping on and being amazing. And you can go out there and make your films, oh glorious listener. And you can go out there and make your films, and you can get Hugh Jackman, and you can get Anthony Hopkins into your movie if you really work hard and have one of the best scripts out there. But you can do that. Believe in yourself, and don't let anyone push you down. Don't let anyone say, no, your fees are coming down. Try and fight for the best film you can make. And if you're lucky enough to rise up and do well,
it's your duty to send the elevator back down.
It is your duty to send it back down. So we will see you next Tuesday when we have on either Beck and Woods talking about their film 65, which actually starring Adam Driver, which might have gone away now, but they have been on the pod a couple of times. They're ace people. They said they would come on, but we might do that ourselves together rather than through the PR agent.
Or it might be Eben on The Last of Us.
Oh yeah, it might be Eben Bolter, the amazing cinematographer from The Last of Us, or it might be Dexter Fletcher, but I think I'm going to move that to the week after because his film Ghosted is coming out in a couple of weeks' time. So I'm going to put that on the 25th. Yes. So how exciting either way. So we will see you then for more fun frolics and information about filmmaking. Yeah. All right. Take care, everyone. Go out there, make your films, make it happen for you. Be inspired and do it. And we will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Adios.